All right. So the last thing that I want to talk to you about is just general commentary problems. Um, and I'm basically going to be saying the same thing that I said last time. And I don't say that as a criticism of all of you student writers. I say that because commentary is almost always going to be a problem. Commentary is a problem for my AP students. Commentary is a problem for adult writers that I work with. So this is not, I'm don't beat yourself up if you keep getting down on commentary. I just want you to keep getting better at it. But let's take a look at the problems with commentary this time around. Oftentimes, it again kind of stemmed from not explaining enough. Like, do you clearly enact? Like, do you develop enough? Do you use the space in your paper? Do you use enough sentences to develop a clear relationship between the evidence and the evidence and the theme? So, oftentimes, we needed like 2 to 3 sentences of commentary. What happened is a lot of us tried to get it done in 1 sentence, and that was pretty poopy. So that's what we need. 2 to 3 sentences equals C, which is commentary. Let's take a look at this sample. This is a sample paragraph that does have problematic commentary in it. And we'll talk about that. And again, I know that there are other issues with this. I'm not going to focus on those issues. I'm just going to focus on commentary problems. Of course, not of course, but this paper, I am well aware that this paragraph does have issues with word choice. I'm aware that this paper has issues with quotes. I'm aware that this paper has issues, but I want to talk to you about the commentary problems that are in here. Okay, so let's take a look. Holding grudges can lead to unnecessary and difficult to overcome conflict. This can be seen numerous times throughout the story The Interlopers via the relationship between George and Ulrich. At the beginning of the story, George and Ulrich despised one another due to multi-generational grudge. Excuse me. The two enemies glared at each other, hate in his heart, murder in his mind. So I'm not going to spend too much time, but A, you know that the quote is not supposed to be its own sentence. Second of all, this doesn't, the lack of transition here does not show a clear relationship between the evidence and what was said earlier. But let's keep going. So again, quote is problematic. The relationship between these 2 sentences is problematic, but let's continue. This grudge that the pair held with one another prevented them from overcoming their conflict. Okay, so then we're just kind of like moving to another one. So, okay, so I can see the link a little bit here. So that's actually like okay commentary. Again, they've got a sentence that is an entire quote. This feud might have died down or been compromised if the personal ill will of the 2 men had not stood in the way. So then they just, boom, end that. There's a total lack of commentary further continuing beyond here. So they could keep going to develop the idea of like how this stuff relates up to the theme here. Okay, continuing later on, we see that the 2 men overcome their conflict merely by being trapped together, forcing them to confront their grudges. Okay? As the story progresses, the characters' tone towards each other changes. I'm not sure how these are different. It seems like they're repeating themselves. In Ulrich's words, "There are better things in life. I ask you to be my friend." When the hostility is forced aside by their mortal situation, the 2 men quickly are able to realize the foolishness of their quarrels. We have quarreled like devils, and again, their evidence literally just repeats what they just said. But now I don't like, how does all of this, I don't know how this relates up to the theme. Like, how does that actually move up to this? Difficult to overcome conflict. Like, they don't explain that at all. In short, holding grudges only ensures that overcoming conflict becomes much more difficult than it would otherwise be. Where do they prove that? They say they had conflict. They changed their conflict. What? How does that talk about the unnecessary and difficult to overcome? What about this conflict was difficult to overcome? And the dudes had a discussion. Why is that difficult to overcome? In fact, if anything, I feel like this evidence proves that, like, the theme is talk to your adversary. Conflict is unnecessary. Like, what? It's not necessarily the holding grudges. I don't understand how this is difficult to overcome conflict. The dudes had a conversation. That's it. Seems like the easy. I've seen high school fights that were worse than this. So like the conflict, or excuse me, the theme is not. The theme that's up here is not defended or proven by the commentary. This is kind of, but down here, not at all. This is talking about a completely different thing where they actually resolve their conflict, which is not part of the theme. And so, like, this student has abandoned entirely their commentary at the end here. And so the commentary down here, the evidence and commentary has nothing to do with the theme, which is problematic. Okay, so that to me was an issue. And again, that happened a lot, where we either have stuff that doesn't relate to our theme, or we have commentary that simply restates what our evidence said, like the student did multiple times throughout the paper here. So I want you to take a look at your commentary. Does your commentary help your reader understand how the evidence supports the topic sentence, and in this case, the theme? I didn't talk about it much in the example because the example didn't do it a whole lot, but I still saw this. This shows that, or it shows that. You got to beware of this. Like, that is not how commentary should begin. The word "this" is very unclear. This shows that Ulrich was nice. Like, what? The fact that he offered his flask? The fact that he said that he was his friend? Like, what are you referring to? Be specific. And then, again, do you reiterate your evidence? So simply, do you repeat it? So again, we're still developing our commentary. I get it. I'm not expecting any of you to be experts, but I am expecting more than this. I'm expecting to see at least an attempt of developing the evidence's connection with the topic sentence, which this does not do. This whole part ignores the topic sentence, ignores the theme that's identified up here.